What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Off the Backboard, where today we're going to be covering a whole bunch of different topics. There's a lot going on in the NBA world right now, whether that be the play-in, different lifetime bans getting handed out, a bunch of things along that nature. But I just want to say I'm sorry, guys. I know my voice still sounds a little bit weird, but I'm still going through that sickness. But you got to do what you got to do. So without further ado, let's get right into today's video. First topic we're going to be covering in today's video is, of course, going to be Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors being completely eliminated from the playoff contention after losing their play-in game against the Sacramento Kings. A game where Klay Thompson would go 0 for 10, 0 for 6 from 3, and the Warriors wouldn't even put up 100 points. Now, first I want to talk about Klay, because we all know that this more than likely was his last game in a Warriors uniform. But what team would need Klay Thompson, especially the version of Klay Thompson that we're getting right now? Because he's struggled with efficiency this season. We all know that as he's gotten older, he's been dealing with a lot of injury problems. He's not the same defender that he once was. But at the end of the day, I still feel like his veteran leadership, and he's Klay Thompson. He's going to put some threes up. Some of them are going to go in. So, you know, he still has that shooting touch. I think that he can be a valuable piece for a team, but I'm not sure if he would be more valuable on a championship contender or a younger team that just needs that veteran leadership. Let me know in the comments down below what team you think should pursue Klay Thompson this offseason. But the main thing that I want to talk about is, of course, the backbone of the Golden State Warriors, Stephen Curry. Now, he went out, he gave it his all this game. In the post-game interview, he was quoted as saying that all he wants to do is win. But he didn't say that he wanted to do that with the Golden State Warriors. Now, I know that I might be reaching a little bit, since he didn't mention the team by name. But I think it's very possible that we see Stephen Curry in a different jersey this next season. Because they don't have the draft capital, they don't have the young talent. They just don't have the assets to make a move to make the Warriors a real contender. And I don't think that Steph deserves that, man. He's 36 years old. We have one, maybe 2 more years of him playing basketball the way that he is right now, and we need to get him to a team that's a contender. So let me know in the comments down below if you think Steph is going to be on the Warriors this next season, and if he's not, where do you think he'll end up? And the last thing that I want to cover on the Golden State Warriors is it's going to be the future of Chris Paul. Now, this is something that I had mentioned a couple videos before, basically saying he's getting really up there in age, and we just don't know how much longer he has to play. Now, it's obvious if the Warriors are moving on from Klay and Steph and Dre, they're not going to keep a 38-year-old Chris Paul on the roster. So I'm just curious if he's going to want to go to another roster to try and get that championship, or if we might have just watched Chris Paul play his last game in the NBA and we didn't even know it. Now, I really hope that he strives to try and get that championship, because even if it's at the latter end of his career where he's not exactly a big producer, it'll kind of, just having that championship on your resume boosts you a ton. Look at Dwight Howard. He won that championship with the Lakers, ended up retiring the next season, I believe. But 20 years from now, people aren't going to say, oh, Dwight Howard wasn't a big contributor on that team. They're going to say Dwight Howard is a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and NBA champion. So just having that on your resume will do wonders for you, and I'm really hoping that CP can sneak out of the league with some jewelry. But let me know in the comments down below if you think that he's going to retire at the end of this season, or if he's going to try and continue ring chasing. Up next, we're going to have the Los Angeles Lakers defeating the New Orleans Pelicans to secure the 7th seed in this year's playoffs. Now, for the Lakers, that means that they're going to be going up against the 2-seed Denver Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs. And I'm not going to get too in-depth into that, because once all the play-ins are wrapped up, I'm going to be dropping a playoff bracket. So be on the lookout for that. But in this game, you've seen Zion Williamson go absolutely crazy for the Pelicans, trying to do everything he could to will them to this win to secure that 7th seed. But unfortunately for them, Zion would go down with an injury with about 4 or 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, wouldn't return to the game, and the Lakers would squeak this one out 110-106. Now, of course, with the Pelicans narrowly losing this game to the Lakers, they'll have one more opportunity to sneak into this year's playoffs as the 8th seed against the Sacramento Kings. But it was just confirmed this morning that Zion won't be playing in this final play-in game against the Kings because of that hamstring injury he sustained against the Lakers. And this was something that I had mentioned in my play-in prediction. But I'm 2 for 2, by the way, on my prediction, so maybe I should start gambling or something. But basically, I had said that I think that the Kings are going to defeat the Pelicans because of health. And I in no way predicted Zion to be out. I was speaking about Brandon Ingram, who barely returned in the final game of the regular season, played all right against the Los Angeles Lakers, but it was very obvious that he was still dealing with that injury. And I felt like with a 70 to 75% Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, that just wasn't enough to take out the Sacramento Kings. But now it's a 70 to 75% Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, who of course was on a hot streak to end the regular season but just put up a stinker against the Lakers. I just don't see any way that the New Orleans Pelicans would be able to defeat the Kings in this play-in game. And up next on today's slate, we're of course going to have the Eastern Conference play-in tournaments kicking off, with the 9 and 10 Atlanta Hawks and Chicago Bulls playing each other, and the 7 and 8 Miami Heat and Philadelphia 76ers kicking it off. Now, for the 9-10 matchup, I had already said this in my play-in prediction. This game doesn't really matter to me because whoever wins this game is just going to go on to eventually lose to whoever loses in the 7-8 matchup. I don't think that either of these teams should be here, but hey, that's just my opinion. Now, for the 7-8 matchup, that's where things get really interesting. With the return of Joel Embiid, the Philadelphia 76ers almost stole the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference and avoided the play-in completely. And I just don't think that the Miami Heat have the firepower or defense to keep up with Joel Embiid. Now, with that being said, Jimmy Butler always turns into a whole different beast come playoff time. So who knows, maybe he comes out and he gives the Sixers 50. But for this game, I'm going to have the Philadelphia 76ers beating the Miami Heat. And then I'm going to have the Miami Heat going on to beat whoever it may be, whether it be the Atlanta Hawks or the Chicago Bulls. And last but definitely not least, I just wanted to cover Jontay Porter receiving a lifetime ban from the NBA, which is 100% warranted in my opinion. It just doesn't make any sense to me how a guy is betting on himself to lose. You're betting on yourself being ass. You didn't even have the decency to bet the over on yourself. You just went out there and said, my eye, one of the bets that he hit was on his team to lose. So he wasn't even betting the under on himself. He was preying on his entire roster's downfall. Now, I've seen a popular theory going around that the NBA was trying to make an example out of Jontay Porter, and it was really easy for them because he's not a very high caliber player. If you want to make an example, maybe stop pushing sports betting into our face every single opportunity that you guys get. It has become so normalized in the NBA, it's almost sad. It's like promoting alcoholism. Both of these are addictions that ruin people's lives. And in the NBA, it's just pushed into our face, pushed into our face, pushed into our face. It's become a whole culture in our sport. And I just feel like something needs to be done about it. Because I would bet very good money that Jontay Porter is not the only NBA player betting on themselves. He's probably the dumbest because no one is going to be betting $20,000-$30,000 on a Jontay Porter under when you're not a very prominent player. You barely were getting playing time, like 10 minutes a game on a trash team. Of course, that's going to raise some red flags. Now, at the end of the day, this is just my opinion. I'm just a dude with a camera and a mic sharing it with you guys. All these guys are grown-ass men and they can do what they want with their money. But at the end of the day, as someone who truly loves the game of basketball, it's doing more harm to our sport than good. So something needs to be done about it sooner rather than later. And that is going to do it for me, y'all. I just want to say thank you so much for watching another episode of Off the Backboard. And if you've made it this far and you enjoyed what you've seen, be sure to drop a like and a subscribe. Because I'm basically just a dude talking hoops, and if you enjoy talking hoops, then you're more than welcome around here. One more time, I will be dropping my official playoff bracket once all of the play-in stuff is wrapped up, so be on the lookout for that in the next few days. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'm about to get out of here. Peace.